So today what you're going to be doing, you're going to be doing the CDB review and the retest for CCA number 6. Make sure you have an extra sheet of paper. Make sure that you are ready to do the retest. And then at the end, you will see that there's some CDB review, and then you have the retest. So when you're done with the video, make sure you pick up the retest by my desk so you could complete it. You could take the retest home, bring it back tomorrow, but remember, it makes up the test grade that you got yesterday. So make sure you're working on that. So we're going to go ahead and start with a warm-up. So it says put these numbers in order from greatest to least. Remember, whenever you have just all fractions, convert them into a common denominator, because that will help you see which one's which one you need to put first, and so on. This is going from greatest to least, so make sure that you remember that. And then also, this is going to be on your CDB too, so make sure you know how to do this. So 2/3, 3/5, 5/6, 2 27/30s, and 7/10s. So I'm going to convert them all to 30. So since this is 30, so 3 times 10 will give you 30. 2 times 10 will give you 20. Then we have 3/5. So if I put it as 30, 5 times 6 is 30. So 3 times 6 is 18. Then we're going to go ahead and do the next one, and I'm going to change the color. So here is 5/6. Remember, your common denominator is 30. So 6 times 5 gives you 30. So 5 times 5 is 25. This one's already done for you, so you don't need to change it. So the last one is 7/10. So 7 times 3 gives you 30. So 10 times 3 gives you 30, and 7 times 3 is 21. So now that we have all those, we could put them in order from greatest to least. So just looking at the denominators. So 20, 18, 25, 27, and 21. The least amount is 18, so that's going to be 3/5. Then we have 20, which is 2/3. Then we have 21, which is 7/10. Then we have 25, which is 5/6, which is that. And then the last one is 27/30. So just by finding common denominator, we will able to solve this problem. So make sure you're doing that. For how do I get there, hopefully you were able to do that. Yesterday we had one with 375, 2,000, and then 3/8. So this one, if I use 125 divided by 125, this is going to give you, divided by 125, that's going to give you 8. Nope, that's not it. Nope, I don't know why it's not letting me write in the number. So it's going to be 8. Okay, this is not working. So divided by 125. And that's going to be 8, and this is going to be 1. So that should be your answer. So this had a missing part, so make sure you have it. So now go ahead and get your worksheet, your blank sheet of paper, so you could separate it into 2 parts and come back to the video. Okay, so on this is where you're going to write test corrections. And you're going to put CCA number 6. And again, you already know which ones are wrong, so make sure you put the numbers. If you had number 2 and 5 wrong, those are the numbers you're going to copy. Make sure that you are doing that. Here is your show work on this side. And then on the other side, you're going to go ahead and explain why you got it wrong. So make sure you write that on the top, show work, and explain why it's wrong. so that I could know that you understood your mistakes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that ready, and then go on with the video. Okay, so for this video, basically you make sure you have to write it down. Remember, if you have number 1 correct, you could skip over. If you have number 2 correct, you could skip over. So just do the ones that you got wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and explain this one. So it says, in Austin, Texas, 8 bats ate 40 grams of insects in one night. At this rate, how many grams of insects could 64 bats eat in one night? So they're talking about bats and grams. So I'm going to go ahead and just put 8 bats and 40 grams because that's the first thing they told me. Now, then they said at this rate, how many grams of insects could 64 bats? So because it says bats, those two have to be in the same column. The grams is going to be on its own. So that's why you have that. So from 8 to 64, we need to make sure we put it under bats. So all we have to do is find the scale factor. So 8 to 64 is times 8, 40 to whatever it is. But then remember, because I multiplied by 8 here, we need to do the same thing here. So 40 times 8 equals 320. So my answer is 320. So you should have put 320, bubble it in, 320, and that was your answer. So go ahead and check it out, look at your mistakes, and then come back to the video. Oh, explain what you did wrong, then come back to the video. Okay, for number 2, if you got this correct, make sure you skip over. So the ratio of the number of boys to the number of girls in the choir is 5 to 4. There are 60 girls in the choir. How many boys are in the choir? So they're talking about boys and girls. So the choir is 5 to 4. So I went ahead and put that under where it needed to be because it says boys to girls and then 5 to 4. So that didn't change the order. It's the same. Then they tell me there are 60 girls in the choir. So just from the problem here, I got girls in the choir is 60. So now that I put it in the correct column, I go ahead and change or find the scale factor. So 4 times what gives you 60? So in this case, 4 times 15 gives you 60. So 5 times 15 will give you 75. So my answer is 75. So circle that. So go back to your problem. Make sure that you're checking to see what you did wrong. And then come back to go ahead and explain it, and then come back to the video for the next problem. Number 3. Customers at an ice cream shop took a survey. The results showed that 144 customers rated the shop as being very satisfactory. This number represents 45% of the total number of customers who took the survey. So basically, you could do it 2 ways. So one way, since 45% is what that number represents, so we're going to go ahead and do the table. So it's part, percent, and whole. So here, I know that the part is 144, the percent is 45. So because 45% is almost 50%, then all I have to do is make sure that I do 144 times 2, which gives you 288. So anything over 288 would be your answer to this problem. So if you think about it, it's letter D. That's one way of doing it. That's guesstimating. You still know that it's close to 50%. It's almost there because that's the only one that's above 288. Actually, around 288. It doesn't have to be above. Around 288. Then you need to make sure that that is what you put down. Now, in this case, if there were other problems that are closer, then I would use the formula. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the formula in another color so you could see it. So the formula is part over whole is equal to percent over 100. So now all I have to do is fill it in. So I know the part is 144. The whole number is what we're looking for, and that equals to 45 over 100. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do cross products. So 144 times 100 is 14,400. Then I'm going to divide it by 45. So 45 into 14 is 0 times. 45 into 144, let's do 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 1 is 13. So that's 9. Bring down the 0. 45 into 90 is 2 times, so that's 90. Remainder is 0. Bring down the other 0, so it's 0. So my answer is 320. So either way would have worked. The percent benchmarks don't work here because you don't have the whole number. So if you're able to use the cross products, make sure you're using that. And the other way is to guesstimate, which we did too. So go ahead and go back to your test. Make sure you see what you did wrong and then write your mistakes. Then come back to the video. Number 4. As part of a survey, 300 girls were asked to name their favorite sports. The results showed that 12 of the girls named bowling as their favorite sport. What percentage of the girls in the survey named bowling as their favorite sport? So then I'm going to go ahead and do part, percent, and whole number. So I know that they're looking at the 12 girls as the part, and then the whole number is $300. $300. 300 girls, not dollars. So I could do it 2 different ways because I know the part is 12, the whole number is 300. If I simplify it, by dividing by 3, then I'm going to go ahead, 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 300 divided by 3 is 100. So this represents 4%. There you have it. Also, what I could have done in the benchmark part, I could have said, well, 300, so 1% is 3. So I need to get to 12. Well, 3 to get to 12 is times 4. So then 1 times 4 gives you 4%, so there's my answer. So either way would have worked with the percent benchmark or just simplifying it. So make sure that you're doing this. You could have done it also, and let me show you how you would have done it with the proportion or the formula. So the formula, you have 12 over 300 is equal to x over 100. And we could do cross products. So 1200 divided by 300. So that's 300 into 12 is 4. 4 times 0, 0. 4 times 0, 0. 4 times 3 is 12. So my answer is still 4%. So 3 different ways you could have done this. It's up to you which one you're more comfortable with. Make sure that you understand that when we're doing cross products, that you're multiplying diagonally and then dividing by the number left over. So go ahead and go back to your test. Explain your answers. If you didn't complete it, then explain what you understood from this, and then do your test corrections on that, and then come back to the video. So on Wednesday, 72% of the customers bought gas and soda at the store. There were 250 customers. How many of these 250 customers bought gas and a soda? So I'm going to use benchmarks. So I'm going to go ahead and put parts, percent, and whole. So this is what we're looking for. The part is what we're looking for. The percent is 72, and the whole number is 250. So remember, we have to do 50%. So I'm going to do this in another color so you could see it. So 50% would be half of that. So it's divided by 2. So that's going to be 125. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and do 10%. 10% is divided by 10. So 250 divided by 10 is 25. Okay, I'm going to add another 10%, which is another 25. So right now, I'm at 70%, which is 150. Okay, now I need two more, because it's 72. Okay, so it's 72. So I'm going to go ahead and do the 1%. The 1% you divide it by 100, which is 2.5. Okay, because I need two of them, and I'm going to extend this line so you could see it. So because I'm going to need two of them, I'm going to multiply 2.5 times 2. So that's going to be 5. Okay. So my answer would be, okay, so I made a mistake, so I'm going to go back. So my mistake is here. So 125 plus 25 is 150, plus 25 is 175. So I forgot about that, so I'm correcting this. So it should be 175, and then 175 plus 5 is 180, and 72 plus, no, not 72. 70 plus 2 is 72%, and isn't that what we were looking for? We're looking for that, so my answer is 180. So that's one way of doing it. Here is another way, and it's going to be quicker because you could see it faster. So I'm going to go ahead and put, so x, because that's the part, over 250 is equal to 72 over 100. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply that. So 250 times 72. So I'm going to put it over here, times 72. You have 0, 0. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Add the 0, 7 times 2 is 0. 7 times 5 is 35. Bring up the 3. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 3 is 17. You bring the 0, 1, 2. That's 10. That's 8 and 1. So 18,000, sorry, divided by 100, because remember, we still need to divide it by that. So remember, that's going to be 180, because it goes in that. So it's going to be 180, so it's still your same answer. You still have the same answer. So either way works. So go back to your test, check what you did wrong, and then explain in words what you did wrong, and then go ahead and continue on this video. Okay, some other things that are going to be in your benchmark with ordering integers. Remember, all the negatives are always going to be less than the positives, and the negatives, the bigger the number, or the more the number is, the less the value it's going to be. So remember that. For ordering rational numbers and then fraction, decimal, percent, remember, if you have all fractions, so this pertains to this, if you have all fractions, then you find common denominator, if like we did the warm-up, and if not, you convert all to decimals and compare them. These are some of the common fraction, decimal, percent conversions that you have. Make sure that you are looking at that, you're studying it, because those are the type of things they're going to be looking at. These are the type of fractions they're going to use. So if you memorize those or know them, then it'll help you on the test. Something else that will be on the benchmark, besides the ratios and percents that we just did, is on the next slide. So on this slide is multiplying, dividing decimals and fractions. I went ahead and put how to multiply decimals. So you basically just multiplying like you regular do. Remember to add the 0 there to hold the place value. Okay, then you go ahead and count the decimal places, and whatever amount of decimal places you have on the factors, you have to have on the product. For dividing with decimals, again, you kick the ball to the wall, so make sure you move it as many times as you need to on the dividend. This one needed to be moved 2 times, so it needs to move inside also 2 times, and then you go ahead and divide like a regular division problem. Make sure you put your decimal in the right place, and that should give you your answer. For fractions, here I went ahead and put that you need to make sure that you are changing your mixed numbers to improper fractions. So this is a mixed number, and look at how it changed to improper fractions. Remember, you always put a 1 under the whole number, and then you multiply straight across. Now, when it's a division problem, you remember you keep, change, flip in order to divide. Problems, again, you still change the mixed number to improper fraction, and then you go ahead and put keep, change, flip, and then multiply like you usually do, just multiplying across. That's all you have to do. Another thing that's going to be there is order integer operations. Remember, draw counters. If you draw the counters, that's going to help you out in solving your addition and subtraction problems, multiplication and division. Remember, if you have odd numbers of negatives, it's going to be negative. If you have positive numbers of negatives, then it's going to be positive. So draw the counters. Remember, this stands for positive. The shaded in starts for negative. So do those strategies in your test so you'll be able to get it correct. So the other parts is on the next slide. So this is what you're going to be doing. Now, these are two things that we haven't covered, but converting measurements, you did it in 5th grade. That should be a review. Here is how a strategy and what you could do. So starting unit, you go ahead and put, say it's 16 gallons, and you're trying to convert it into quarts. So you put quarts. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put on my gallons, it's 1 gallon, and then how many quarts do we need per gallon? So in this case it's 4, just by the reference chart. So then all you have to do in this case is you multiply. If it was across, then you would multiply and then divide. So in this case it's 16 times 4, it's going to be 64, and then divided by 1, so your answer is just going to be 64 quarts. So make sure that you're using that strategy. Another one that we did not cover, but you probably did it last year too, is the coordinate grids. Last year you went ahead and just did quadrant 1, but now we're using quadrant 2, 3, and 4. If you look at it, the quadrants are going this way, so that stands for coordinate, the letter C, so always know that. And remember, X comes first, so that means you go across first, so that's X, and then you go down, so that's Y. So in this case, make sure that you're understanding that there's going to be positive and negatives. There's all going to be between numbers. So if it's between numbers, it could be 1/4 or 1/2. So either way, it's going to help you out. So make sure that you are studying this review. If you need to watch this video again, watch it again, because this will help you with your CDB starting tomorrow. So make sure you're covering all your bases with the video, and then keep moving on. So on the next page, this is where you're going to see your retest, and I'm going to explain the directions on it. So go to the next slide. Okay, so this is your retest, and it's going to be mostly about percents. What you do need to do is you need to read the problem and then identify what is the part, what is the whole, and what is the percent. And then you're going to go ahead and solve this. Now, they put this percent bar for you to use. You really don't have to use it. You need to use your formula, part over whole equals percent over 100, and that should help you out. So make sure that you are using this, you are solving it, make sure that you are understanding it, and if you need any help, please let me know. This is going to be a retest, so you have an 80 or above, then you don't have to do the retest, but if you have lower than an 80, you do have to do the retest and the corrections. If you didn't, if you got 100 or a 90 or an 80, then you could still watch the video, make sure you're doing it correctly, because it gives you different strategies, and then go ahead, and if you want to do the retest, you may do so. So make sure that you have all the paperwork you need, turn in your test corrections, and turn in your retest for a better grade. So good luck on your CDB tomorrow.